So hey guys, I'm heading out early this morning. I'm going to go install that head that I rebuilt on a race car. So it's about a 2.5 hour drive and I get to go through the mountains, so I thought I'd take the 88. I've just got all my tools loaded up in the back here. Alright guys, here's a quick look at the car. From what I understand, it has a bent valve. So we're going to be removing the head and replacing it with the one that I rebuilt. I have it in the back of my car here. You can see it underneath there. I also brought a head gasket set with me. But anyway, I'm going to be working in the sun, so I want to work quick and get this over with. But I'd very quickly show you the inside of the car. Alright guys, we now have the head off. It didn't look like there was a dropped valve after all. I'll take you over here and let you look at the head and see all the valves look good. Let's turn it over here. And haven't been able to get a lot of footage because we're out here in the sun and the camera keeps shutting down from the heat. So just trying to make it work. But anyway, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and put on the head that I brought, change this head gasket and put it back together. But before I do, I'm going to actually rotate the engine to make sure that everything on the bottom end is good. So alright guys, I rotated the engine and everything looks good. All pistons move freely and easily. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this engine back together. You can see here, this is an 88 engine. Alright guys, I'm installing the head now, and as you may recall, I've made a video on installing the head, and that one had the 10mm high nuts, and so that one you torque down in several sequences, and this one here has the 12mm high nuts. So I'm going to torque them down to 15 foot-pounds, and then turn them 90 degrees, and then turn them again 90 degrees. So let me torque them to 15 foot-pounds first. Alright, so they're all torqued down to 15 foot-pounds, and if you like, if you felt any movement, you can always go back and just double check. Let's also make sure that you didn't miss any nuts. So there we go, we're torqued down 15 foot-pounds. So you can let that sit for a moment. And what I'm going to do, as you can see, I got a breaker bar here. While this sits for a moment, I'm going to go ahead and install the headers. Alright guys, so I got the new head on here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get this car running today, so we're just going to stop everything right here. When we were removing the other head, I had noticed that I hadn't even loosened these bolts down here on this side much, and the head was starting to flex. And as I was putting this new head on here and we went to put the headers on, I noticed the headers are just really out of whack and they're actually trying to bend the head. So I'm not going to put them on. I'm going to go home, I'm going to get another set of headers, and we'll just save the rest of this for another day. Unfortunately, it's a very long drive up here, but I'm not even going to try and put these headers on there since they're so badly out of whack. And the story behind this engine was that it over-revved on a track and been an exhaust valve. However, as you can see over here, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this head. But if you look here, this has all the exhaust sealant goo here, and what they may have been trying to do was stop an exhaust leak. So I'm thinking that these headers are just ruined. So what we're gonna do, like I mentioned, I'll go home, get another set, and I'll come back and put those on, and then we'll just scrap these here because I don't feel comfortable putting these on. So alright guys, part of the deal was getting an engine, and here it is. It's all apart, but there's a lot of good parts here that I can use. I can either build this engine or use the parts for other cars. I'm always needing some parts, so all of this will be usable. You can see the block here. You can see it looks like it's scuffed, but it isn't. It just looks like someone cleaned it up really nice, but there is no scuffs here that you can catch your fingernail on. So this block is really nice. This is an 86 block, and we got everything else loaded up. So the next time I come up here, I'll grab this block, and that'll be it. Alright guys, before I left, I also thought you'd like to see this TR7 here. It's a Spider, and they only made about 1,400 of these. It's in really nice condition.
Dirty.
Yeah, it's being dirty. And then we have a MR2 over here.
86.
86. I'm sure we all have memories of driving an MR2. This one looks really nice too.
Full leather interior. It's got the luxury package inside.
Oh, that is really nice. Everything's mint inside here. Alright guys, I guess that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and start heading back down the mountain. Alright guys, unfortunately I wasn't able to get that car running today, but I'm going to try and come back up here On the way home, I passed the parkway and I thought I would just take a slight detour. Kind of glad I did. I try and get out here every spring and fall. I'm just sort of parked on the side of the road right now. But here's the view where I'm standing. So anyway, I got a lot of great parts here. I'll go put these in the shop. I'll be able to build more cars with these parts. And then before I complete this video, I'll make sure that I go back, get those new headers put on, and make sure everything is done correctly. It looks like someone tried to weld them and they just warped them really bad. So there's not really much I can do about that other than replace them. It is just a beautiful day out here. So I'm going to try and go a little bit further down here. I'm not really in a big hurry to get home, but I would like to get home before it gets too late. It's probably going to be around 6 o'clock in the evening before I get home. Guys, I'm still here on the parkway and they actually have the road blocked off up there. So I thought this would be a nice time. Just get out, walk around the car since there's not going to be any traffic coming this way. It's pretty neat having the parkway all to yourself. So hey guys, I just got in and here's a better look at the head. As you can see, there are no bent valves. Now the owner of this car just picked it up and the story he got with it was that the guy was on a track, he mistakenly downshifted and over revved the engine and he heard a loud pop and he assumed that he'd blown the engine, but as you can see, there's nothing wrong with this head at all. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of goop down here around the exhaust. And the exhaust headers were really warped, so I'm thinking that perhaps they had an exhaust leak here or something and they were trying to cover it up. But anyway, this was supposed to be a ported and polished head, but as you can see, they didn't really remove any of the casting flaws and it doesn't look like they did anything to the exhaust ports at all. So when I clean this head up, I'm going to go ahead and port and polish it like I did the head that I put on this car, and then I'll probably use it on another project. So hey guys, it's been a few weeks and today I'm heading back up to finish that race car in Tennessee. The last time I was working on it, I just didn't feel comfortable putting the headers back on because they were so badly warped. Anytime I tried to bend them to get them on there, it just put way too much tension on the head, so I decided against it, and today I brought another set with me. It's in much better condition and I'm going to try and get it together and finish it up today. Alright guys, hopefully you can hear me. I have the front wheel off now and I'm going to be removing the exhaust header here and also removing the fender liner so that way I can access the fuel lines that are in behind here. Here's what the fuel lines look like when I first saw the car. You can see that looks like there's coolant pipes and coolant clamps on here. So we're going to be replacing those with this kit from revved. Alright, so I've got the new fuel lines attached down here, and I have the old headers off. You can see them sitting over here. And here's the headers that I'm going to be installing. And I also have all new hardware going on. Here's the bolts that I removed. So I'll go ahead and get the headers on, and maybe we can get this engine running here in a little while. Alright, I now have the headers on, so I'm going to go ahead and start installing the cam tower here. Alright, so I now have the exhaust and the cam tower on. Next I'll go ahead and install the intake. Alright guys, I got the intake back on now and everything's slowly coming together. I'm going to go take a lunch break, but when I get back I'll install the plugs, and I'm going to be replacing this timing belt here since some of the teeth are starting to shear off. And then I'll get the starter in and hopefully we'll get this car running again. So alright, I got the fuel lines connected and everything's wired up. I'm going to go ahead and work on these belts now. So alright, I got the new belts on and I got the cover on now. Next I just need to install the accessory belts, install the starter, and we'll be ready to fire this thing up. Alright, I got the intake back on now. The only thing left to do is install the starter and fill the coolant. So alright, I got the starter in and he's got the battery installed, so we're getting ready to try and fire this thing up. Yeah. So here's the issue that we're having. Okay, so as you can see, it doesn't want to stay running, but that's not even the fun part, really. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and show them what's going on here. At top dead center, the distributor button is pointing at number 3. Now why that is, I have no idea. As you know, at top dead center, it should be pointing at number 1, but it isn't. So I had to go through and move the spark plug wires over just a little bit. And now it kind of runs, but it isn't right. I'm curious whether or not this has even the correct cam in there, because as you know, if the sprocket is on there with the keyway, then there's no way you can goof up any of this, because the distributor or the rotor button actually screws in there from the factory. So why it's pointing to 3, I have no idea, and I don't think we're going to get it to run right without figuring out what's going on with this cam. So Anyway, just thought that was interesting. Let me get a light and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. So anyway guys, here's the look at my car. You can see I'm sitting at TDC and you can see my mark there. And notice where the rotor button is pointing. You can see it's pointing to number 1. And if you come down here and look at this car, you'll see that I also have this one at TDC. But look where the rotor button is pointing. It's pointing more to 3. And so the only way I could get it to run was to move the spark plugs over one, and then it still didn't run well. So I'd noticed this right before installing the distributor cap, and that's why I ran over and removed my distributor cap, just to make sure that I wasn't misremembering something. But anyway, this seems to be the problem here, and I'm not sure exactly what would even cause this. So hey guys, I got out of there rather late last night, and I really didn't get a chance to investigate what was going on with the cam. I spoke with another guy and he said that he'd seen a Woodruff key shear and ended up with something similar to that before. So I'm going back up there today to try and figure out what's going on, and if the Woodruff key is sheared, then I think the best approach is to just swap out the entire cam and tower assembly. So I brought one with me. I think that'd be just the fastest way to do it. Now, going back into the story of this car again, I covered a little bit of it before, but as I mentioned, the guy was on a track and he downshifted and he over revved, and that's when he heard a loud pop and he thought that he bent the valves. Now, once I got the head off, obviously there was no bent valves, and it wasn't until yesterday when we got everything back together that I saw that the distributor wasn't lining up correctly. So unfortunately, it looks like that it may be a simple fix. It may just be as simple as perhaps they didn't put that tiny little bolt into the rotor button, but I'm not thinking it's going to be that easy. I'm thinking I'm going to get up there and it is a sheared Woodruff key, so that's why I brought the entire cam tower assembly. But we'll find out. Hopefully we'll get it running today. So alright guys, I'm back up here, and as I mentioned on the way up here, I wasn't even sure that they had inserted the bolt here that keeps this distributor button from moving around, and sure enough, it's missing, and I'll bet that's what happened. But anyway, I sprayed some lubricant on here so that way I could get it in and out, and I'm getting ready to go to the store and find a replacement bolt, and I'll bet you that'll fix the issue. So alright, I just got back from the hardware store where I picked up a bunch of those little bolts, and when I tried to turn the rotor button last night, it seat and bolted down, so I didn't think that was the issue. I didn't touch that. All I did was pull the cam tower off, and being that this car was on a track, it seemed so foreign that that would have been the reason why the car stopped running. But I guess anything's possible. That was not one of the first things that run through my mind last night, because I even tried to turn the rotor button and it seemed stuck in place, but I didn't look to see if there was a bolt. So anyway, I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna bolt it up, and hopefully we'll get this car running. All right, we got everything back together now, and we're getting ready to fire it up. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to have him start it up and back it up a few times. Time to go adjust the idle. So anyway guys, I got the car running again, and I'm actually getting to go home at a decent hour tonight. Who would have thought that a missing bolt from the rotor would have been the issue the entire time? So I guess what happened was he was driving it on the track, it slipped out of the way, and he heard a misfire, and the
engine shut off, and he assumed that he blew the engine. So anyway, this guy ended up with it that owns it now, and he was told that the engine was blown. So, you know, all I can do at that point is go in and investigate what's going on, because I sure would have never guessed that a missing bolt was the issue. But anyway, you know, it's kind of good that I did go through and take the engine apart, because there was a lot of stuff wrong with it. There was a bunch of missing parts, and those fuel lines would have just burned that car to the ground. So anyway, it's right now, and I was actually told that that was built by a local race shop, and that's all on them. I had to tear their engine back apart because they forgot to put a bolt in the distributor rotor, and then I had to go in and find all that stuff wrong with it, and those fuel lines. But anyway, it's great now, and I hope the guy enjoys it. But anyway, the car's doing great now, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is actually the last video that I'm going to upload before leaving on summer vacation. And if you want to stay in touch, I'll be posting over there on my Facebook page. I'll leave a link in the description below. And I want to thank everybody who supports this channel on Patreon, since these videos wouldn't be possible without you. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in a few weeks.